Welcome to the Deep Dive. Think about those moments in your life. Those unexpected encounters. Maybe a book falling off a shelf with just the answer you needed. Or that flash of insight that suddenly shifts your whole direction. They feel so personal, right? Like really meaningful coincidences.
Yeah, definitely.
But are they just, random chance? Or could they be signals? Signals of something deeper, maybe more organized going on.
That's the big question, isn't it?
It really is. And today, we're doing a deep dive into some pretty paradigm-shifting work by Philippe Guillemant.
Yeah.
We're focusing on his book, which translates best as The Physics of Consciousness.
Right.
And this stuff, it fundamentally challenges how we see reality. It suggests those meaningful coincidences. They aren't just weird little anomalies.
No, not at all. He sees them as critical evidence.
Evidence for how consciousness actually structures time itself.
Yeah.
It's quite a leap.
It is, but what makes Guillemant so interesting is where he comes from. He wasn't initially exploring mysticism or anything.
Right.
He started out in the early 80s as a very hard-nosed engineer and physicist working on things like seismology, chaos theory, algorithms.
So very deterministic stuff, like clockwork universe territory.
Exactly. His whole world was built on the idea that if you just had enough computing power, you could calculate pretty much everything. Predictable, sequential.
He was literally coding that clockwork universe.
Pretty much. But it was actually that deep dive into information and systems that led him to think, wait a minute. He started to believe that academic physics had made, well, what he calls a crucial conceptual error. He felt they'd overlooked this really intimate link between the big world we see, the macroscopic, and the tiny quantum level.
And that this link involves consciousness.
Yes. He argues that ultimately consciousness controls that link, and that the real driver of reality isn't energy or matter in the way we usually think of it. It's information.
Okay, so let's try and unpack this. Our mission here is to get into Guillemant's model. It's described as atemporal and cybernetic.
Right, meaning it's about information flow, but operating outside of our normal linear idea of time.
And it's all built on this core idea he calls the theory of double causality.
That's the linchpin.
Which forces us, really, to rethink everything, space, matter, and maybe most profoundly, time.
Yeah, absolutely. And to even start down this path, you kind of have to accept something modern physics already tells us.
Which is?
Which is that we don't perceive reality as it truly is. We're sort of living in a shared illusion, in a way.
He talks about bugs in our standard view, doesn't he? Our sort of everyday materialist view.
He does. Several big ones. We can start with the physical ones, the ones that kind of dismantle how we think about space itself.
Okay.
So, first up is the illusion of space. We tend to imagine space as this, fixed, stable container, like a stage.
Right, just emptiness that things happen in.
But relativity already showed us it's not fixed, it's deformable. Mass bends it, curves it, and then quantum mechanics takes it even further.
How so?
It suggests space isn't smooth and continuous. It's fundamentally pixelized, like a digital image, down at the tiniest scale, the Planck length.
Pixelized. So below that scale.
Yeah.
Distance just doesn't mean anything.
It becomes undefined, which is a wild thought. It implies reality isn't this smooth analog stream. It's more like a digital field.
That instantly makes you think of information, doesn't it? Rather than just passive emptiness.
Exactly. And that leads right into the next illusion, the illusion of matter. If space itself is informational, then what is matter?
Not solid little balls, presumably.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
We've known for ages, like a century, that matter is fundamentally vibration energy. But Guillemant pushes it. He suggests matter isn't just vibration in space. It's vibration of space itself. Think of ripples on a pond. They look like distinct things for a moment, but they're just the water moving.
So the chair I'm sitting on, the air, it's all just different frequencies, different patterns of vibration in this underlying informational space.
That's the idea. And that underlying medium, that space, it's anything but empty. That's the third bug. He points out this idea that the void is full.
The quantum vacuum.
Right.
I've heard about this. It's supposed to be seething with energy.
Immensely energetic. The calculations are just staggering. Something like 10 to the power of 120 times more energy than all the observable matter in the universe.
Wow. That number, 1,120.
Yeah.
It sounds like pure chaos, just raw potential energy.
Well, that's the standard view. But Guillemant says, no, it's not just chaos. He calls it a gigantically informed and perfectly organized field.
Informed. Organized, so not just energy, but information structure within that vacuum.
Exactly. He sees the vacuum as the field of all potentiality. If space is information, and matter is just localized patterns of that information.
Then the void is where all the possible information, all potential realities are stored, like a massive library.
The ultimate library, yeah. So the big takeaway here is that consciousness isn't just watching the show. It's not a side effect of brain chemistry.
It's active.
It's the mechanism. Consciousness draws from this huge organized field of potential information to actually objectify reality, to construct the specific, limited, shared, sequential reality that we experience.
We're co-creating the illusion constantly.
That's the implication.
Okay, this really shifts things. If reality is being constantly objectified by consciousness, then our sense of linear time, that must be a huge part of the illusion too. We feel time like a fixed arrow.
Right. And classical physics sort of backs that up with the block universe idea from relativity.
Explain that again.
It basically says the past, present, and future are all equally real, all existing simultaneously. Our entire lives are like a movie reel, already complete, frozen. We just experience it frame by frame.
But didn't Einstein himself say the distinction between past, present, and future is just a stubbornly persistent illusion?
He did. And there's a problem with the block universe. Observers moving differently can't actually agree on what constitutes the present moment. The moment where the future is supposedly being created isn't universal.
Okay, but if our life is a pre-edited film, where's the free will? It still sounds deterministic, just determined by the future that's already there. How does Guillemant unfreeze that film?
He brings quantum mechanics back in. Because quantum mechanics already hints that things aren't strictly linear. Think about entanglement.
Spooky action at a distance. Things linked instantly across space.
Right. But the correlations aren't just across space. There's evidence they exist across time, too. Events can be correlated non-locally in time, without a normal cause and effect sequence.
Ah, so the future could influence the present or past without breaking known physics.
That's the opening. And that's where his theory of double causality comes in. It basically requires a new kind of time.
Another time.
Yeah, what he calls real time, or the time of consciousness. And this time operates completely outside our normal step-by-step spatialized time.
Okay, that's a big concept. How do these two times work together? Is there an analogy?
He uses a good one. Imagine your timeline, your life from birth to death as like a flexible tunnel. Moving through the tunnel, moment by moment, that's our ordinary sequential time. Feels linear.
Right.
But imagine this whole tunnel is floating on a vast, vibrating quantum ocean. That ocean is the real time, the time of consciousness.
Ah, I see.
And the waves, the vibrations in that ocean, they can push on the tunnel, they can shift it, change its shape, alter its path, but they do it atemporally, from outside the tunnel's linear sequence.
So choices or changes to my life path. They aren't just happening now sequentially. They're being influenced or adjusted from this other time dimension.
Retrocausally.
That's the idea.
Wow. Okay, that suddenly makes synchronicity seem less weird.
It gives it a potential mechanism. Carl Jung defines synchronicity as these meaningful coincidences, right? Events happening together without an obvious causal link, but they feel deeply significant to the person involved.
So synchronicity isn't just chance anymore. In this model, it's like hearing the click of the timeline shifting. A signal that an adjustment made in real time is showing up in our sequential time. Exactly. The mechanism he proposes is retrocausality, influence flowing backward from the future.
How would that work?
When you have an authentic intention, especially one aligned with your, let's call it your deeper self, not just a whim,
Okay.
that intention doesn't just ripple outwards in the present. It actually excites or highlights specific potential futures in that quantum void, that library of possibilities.
It flags a possible destination.
Sort of.
Yeah.
And that potential future outcome can then exert an influence backward in time. It helps create those strange coincidences, those synchronicities that gently nudge your everyday conditioned self towards that activated potential.
That moves it from philosophy towards something you can maybe test. Didn't Guillemant mention experiments related to this with random generators?
Yes, that's right. Really interesting stuff. They ran these online campaigns using random number generators, but they designed two types.
Yeah.
One type, let's call them AF algorithms, were designed to be sensitive, theoretically, to information from the future. The other type, AP, were just standard random generators based on past data. purely random.
And people use these.
Yeah, participants got advice generated by these algorithms without knowing which type was which, and they were asked to rate how relevant that advice felt for, making positive changes in their future.
So the AF algorithms were somehow trying to pull advice related to a successful outcome, while the AP ones were just noise.
Essentially, yes. And the results were pretty striking. In the first big campaign, the advice from the future-sensitive AF algorithms was rated as significantly more relevant and helpful by the participants.
Significant.
Statistically significant, yeah. The odds of that difference happening just by random chance were calculated to be really low, something like 1 in 400.
Wow. So that suggests the present moment, how meaningful the advice felt was actually being influenced by the potential future the AF algorithm was somehow accessing.
That's the strong implication, yes. A measurable retrocausal effect.
Which brings us all back to us, to the individual. Navigating choices. If the future isn't totally fixed, but maybe has these strong potentials, how much free will do we really have?
This is where that distinction Guillemant makes is absolutely critical, the one between the two aspects of self.
Right. You mentioned the conditioned self and the higher self.
Exactly. There's the conditioned self, the everyday ego. It's often running on autopilot, past conditioning, habits, fears. It thinks it's making free choices, but it's often just stuck in loops.
Like a program running.
Very much so.
Okay.
And then there's the higher self. Think of it like your personal GPS, or maybe a satellite view of your whole terrain. It holds the map, the information about your most authentic path.
The angel metaphor he sometimes uses.
Yeah, it provides that guiding information to help steer the conditioned self, the one down in the weeds, towards its best possible timeline.
So real freedom isn't just picking anything. It's the freedom to tune into that higher self, to get the better map.
That's the core idea. And connecting isn't passive. The conditioned self has to make a real effort. He talks about 3 specific efforts of the soul.
Okay, what are they?
The first is detachment, letting go of the ego's constant demands, its attachments, its desires.
Harder than it sounds.
Oh, definitely. Second is letting go specifically of all the mental and emotional baggage we carry around. Fears, resentments, limiting beliefs.
Clearing out the clutter.
Right. And the third is actively cultivating confidence. Not arrogance, but genuine trust in yourself and the process. This, he says, replaces negative emotions like fear, which block the connection.
Detachment, letting go, confidence.
And when you manage that, when the connection opens up, that's when you get access to things like natural intuition, a sense of faith or trust in where you're going, and this feeling of wanting to give, of service. And it all comes with this baseline feeling of, well, joy.
That state sounds like accessing that real-time ocean you described, making contact.
Exactly. Which leads to a really interesting kind of provocative point about free will. Guillemant suggests maybe the most powerful act of free will isn't striving for something, because desire itself can be an attachment, but finding the courage and the power to say no.
No. No to what?
No to the conditioning, no to the old loops, the patterns that are holding you back, keeping you on a timeline that isn't authentic. Saying no is how you choose a new temporal line. It's the decision point.
Breaking the pattern.
Yes, but here's the catch. If you make a really authentic choice, a big no, that means a significant shift in your path. Expect resistance.
Resistance.
From where?
From the old future.
Yeah.
The established timeline, the reality tunnel you were in, it has inertia. It wants to stay stable.
So that's why sometimes when you make a big positive decision, everything seems to go wrong initially.
Exactly. That's the resistance manifesting. Sudden obstacles, bad luck, everything going haywire. Classic Murphy's Law.
That's negative synchronicity then. Precisely. But Guillemant insists these aren't signs you made the wrong choice or that you should give up. Quite the opposite.
Really?
He says they're confirmation. It's the old, rigid reality pushing back because you are successfully destabilizing it. You are forging a new path. The obstacles mean you're actually making progress.
That's a complete flip in perspective. Wow. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. We started with space and matter being illusions. And we've ended up with the idea that our conscious choices, particularly when guided by that higher self, are actively selecting which potential realities from the quantum void actually become, well, real for us.
That's the essence of it.
Yeah.
Guillemant's model paints a picture where the fundamental reality is this informational quantum void operating outside linear time. And through double causality, by cultivating detachment, letting go, confidence, we gain this incredible ability to influence, maybe even choose, our future path.
The universe isn't just a fixed machine running its course.
It's dynamic. It seems to be waiting for authentic input for conscious choice to shape it.
So a final thought for everyone listening. What if the real key to unlocking your consciousness, your potential, isn't just about working harder now, in the present moment? What if it's more about learning to listen, learning to tune in and hear that subtle echo from your own authentic future, that guidance flowing back through time? Maybe take another look at those meaningful coincidences in your own life. Ask yourself, what are they really trying to tell you?
A powerful question to ponder.